Let me just give you a little bit of my personal history, which I was asked also to include, because what we are talking about is also change today, if I understood the topic of the panel correctly. I am 40 years old, was born in a small village in northern Germany, kind of on the Danish border, 90 people living there on the seaside. And my parents ran a small children's home. They decided, again, a subject of change, already a subject of change in 1968, to leave their jobs. My father working for the Shell Corporation and my mother being a professor of theology, to do something meaningful with their lives and to make a small impact with what they are doing. They set up a children's home. My sister and I grew up in this children's home. And when I was 15, I felt an utter need for change and went to school in Scotland where I graduated, then became a sound engineer, later on returned to Germany, producing pop music. And starting my own little record label, running that successfully until 2001, when I felt something is lacking, something is missing. Perhaps I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur, and at that point I'd built 5 companies, most of them still running, and at the same time. But I thought, Christ, this is feeling strange. Perhaps I do need to change something in my life. So I decided, okay, I'm going to let go of 2 of the companies, went to work as a consultant for a company on Malta, because it's nice and warm, and I was living in Hamburg, where the weather is most of the time really shitty. After a year, I found out that that environment also was not, even though inspiring and challenging from an intellectual perspective, not what I was looking for. I then thought, okay, I'll give the music industry another try. Ran EMI Publishing Germany, Austria, and Switzerland for a year before I said, okay, this is it. I don't know really what I want, but I have to make a clean cut. I decided to just drop out. I think nowadays you would call it a sabbatical. 10 years ago, at least in my field, nobody was talking about sabbaticals. Now it's very fashionable to take a sabbatical and go cycling to India or something like that. I didn't go cycling to India. It was way too sportive. I said, I'll go and travel a little bit and visit my father, who came in 1989 with relief goods to Sigishwara. Since then fell absolutely in love with Transylvania. I was there in 1993 when I had just finished my training as a sound engineer at Abbey Road Studios, and I hated it. I found it. The small village that we were coming to, no mobile reception, no internet, 2 telephone lines. That was absolutely not my idea of where I wanted to go. At the same time, coming back 10 years later, and it was November, the shittiest time of the year you can come to Transylvania, full of mud, rainy. I fell in love with it. I just loved the peace, the quiet, and I thought in the beginning this was just a momentary phase. This is just something that suits my mindset at that moment. I came back in January, I came back in March, and then I kept coming kind of on a, well, I spent more time here than in Germany. At the same time, I had a new girlfriend, who is my wife now, who was getting, obviously from Hamburg, who was kind of suspicious why the heck I'm spending so much time in Romania, especially as this country is known for many beautiful things, among that its women. So she said she also wants to come and have a look at what's going on there. And she arrived in Bucharest. We went to, picked her up from Otopane Airport. She took many pictures on the way, kind of liked it. We got to Sigishwara. I didn't want to bring her to Cund, which is a very, very small village of 140 people, originally Saxon village. I didn't want to bring her there first, because I thought the shock would be too big. So we stayed in Sigishwara, Casa Wagner, a nice hotel for one night before going to Cund. When we spent 5 minutes walking through the village, she said, well, I actually think I could live here. And for me, that was an utter relief, because I had, by that point, seriously fallen in love with the village, not its women. Or I like them, but not in that sense. So we moved half a year later, and started to run a small charity to do with education, and looking after very, very difficult German children who were sent by the German state to Romania to find themselves, to rediscover themselves in a different environment, and to be prepared for their school exams. At that point, we were seeing a development which is common in rural areas, is the same in the UK, same in Germany, that the village were emptying. People were going away. I arrived, there were still 180 people there. I could see every week, every month, people deciding to go and work in Germany, to go and work in the UK. And I tried to tell them, listen, it's so incredibly beautiful here. And there are so many opportunities, so many things you can do. Think about organic farming, think about tourism even, but nothing was moving. We then decided we will have to try and change that a little bit, and we started to create our very first holiday home, a concept that was at that point absolutely unknown on the internet in Romania. So we restored basically one small house, 2 rooms, you know, the old Saxon houses, put it up on the internet for rent in February, and by March it was let out for 27 weeks of the year. People in the village were thinking we were kind of crazy. I went around, listen, it's incredible. You have to help us. You have to also restore some houses and see what can be done. They didn't believe us until guests really came. And it stayed, because they said, okay, you might have guests coming, but they're going to run away after 5 minutes, after they've seen Cesarati, Satul Nostru, and we have only cows, all the cows are working in the streets, and the asphalt is not so good. The access road to Cund is shitty, it's unpaved from the south. Now we have beautiful new asphalt from the north, but towards the south, towards Bucharest, it's still really incredibly picturesque, yeah? But difficult to drive if you don't have an SUV. So we decided we wanted to integrate as much the community as possible in what we wanted to do. So in the first 5 years, in the first year, we managed to convince 5 other families in the village with a little bit of financial and style guidance, I would say, to restore our house as well. No pink bathrooms or neon green buildings or something like that. So working on the color scheme. And those houses were let out in that year already, that was 2005, quite well. 2006, the whole Transylvania thing was getting bigger and bigger, because Sibiu becoming capital culture in 2007 attracted many articles on Romania, and our houses were fully booked for the whole summer. Then we decided we need to enlarge a little bit the things. Now we have a restaurant where I'm cooking, and we have 22 employees. Perhaps we can start, yes, thank you, with a few pictures. Over there you can see the hills above Cund, and the incredible wilderness and landscape which attracted me, first of all, to come here. These are all pictures taken kind of within 1 kilometer of our small village. This is me and my wife exploring the area with a caruzza. Now a very, very popular thing. We have, in the season, we have 4 people with caruzzas, locals driving people around nowadays. Our caruzza is not enough anymore. Yeah, I think it's sticking. Anyway, this meadow that you're seeing here prompts an interesting thing, because I don't know if you're aware of that. In the last 2 years, there's a lot of research being done in the biodiversity of the area between Rupea and Biertan, basically. And that within Europe, it's the area, this area of ours, the Tanave Mare region, the area of the highest possible biodiversity. And there are only 4 more places in the entire world which are as rich in biodiversity. This is something we also try to capitalize on in our sustainable development within the very proximity of Cund, saying we're trying to encourage farmers to farm differently, not as intensively. We've managed to attract some Norwegian funds to get some different mowing machines, which are much lighter, so they don't compact the ground as heavily. Are we getting some more pictures, or do we need to come to an end? No, I don't think so. Well then, to quickly recap what is going on in Cund now, we have 22 employees in a village of 140 people living there. Our rate of occupation all year round is with 72%, incredible. We are blessed with that. And when we started off, we found, generally speaking, people thinking we were absolutely mad and crazy, that it's impossible to do something like that in a small village. Because we're also not aiming for kind of super high level modern buildings. These are old buildings restored with local means, which means there's a door that now and then doesn't close too well. There is sometimes a problem with running water, whereas you were there, because some wells just dry up. And it is a very honest countryside experience, I would say, which is what brings foreigners, and we are very, very happy to say also a lot of Romanians there. When we started off 2004 with the first home that we rented out, we had 100% foreign guests. We had, up until 3 years ago, over 90% of foreign guests. Now, this year, it's the first year that we have more Romanian guests than foreign guests. So we're up to 60% of Romanian guests.